Beneath the pageantry of the Elizabethan court, the survival of the Tudor state depended on a quiet, highly precise mechanism. The regime faced two distinct existential threats: Catholic conspirators rallying around Mary, Queen of Scots, and the Spanish Armada preparing for a massive naval invasion. Traditional accounts often attribute England's survival to divine providence, the charismatic leadership of the Queen, or miraculous naval heroism. However, the evidence suggests the English state survived by engineering a massive, highly structured early modern surveillance apparatus. The architect of this machine was Sir Francis Walsingham, Queen Elizabeth's principal secretary and spymaster. He operated on data, utilizing systemic mail interception, cryptographic forgery, and the precise logistical mapping of European trade routes. The major victories of this era resulted from cold, calculated intelligence interventions. Mary, Queen of Scots, had been imprisoned in England since 1568, serving as a living figurehead for numerous assassination plots against Elizabeth. In 1584, the Privy Council signed the Bond of Association, a legal parameter stating that Mary could only be executed if the state could prove her direct consent to an assassination attempt. Walsingham required more than the disruption of a conspiracy. He intentionally allowed a plot to grow in a controlled environment to harvest actionable evidence of Mary's complicity. In 1586, he orchestrated a sting operation at Chartley Castle, deploying a double agent named Gilbert Giffard to set a trap for the Queen. Giffard established a smuggling mechanism using a local brewer who delivered supplies to the castle in large beer barrels. Conspirators placed encrypted messages inside a watertight box hidden securely inside the barrel's cork bung. Mary believed this underground channel was secure, but Walsingham intercepted and copied every piece of correspondence before it reached its destination. To maintain the illusion of safety, Walsingham employed Arthur Gregory, a specialist who could bypass and repair wax seals without leaving a trace. Walsingham transformed Chartley Castle into a bespoke incubator designed to passively record evidence of treason. Intercepted intelligence was routed to Thomas Phillips, a language and cipher expert stationed at Chartley to decode the incoming messages. This is the nomenclator cipher Mary used to encrypt her communications with lead conspirator Anthony Babington. This cipher combines standard single-letter substitutions at the top with a dictionary of bespoke symbols for specific names, such as de King of France, to thwart basic frequency analysis. In July 1586, Babington transmitted a letter outlining the assassination plot. Days later, Phillips intercepted Mary's reply authorizing the execution of Queen Elizabeth. Decoding this message provided the exact legal proof required by the Bond of Association to justify Mary's execution. Rather than making immediate arrests, Walsingham kept the communication trap open to map the rest of the conspiracy network. Phillips then utilized his skills as a master forger, adding a fake postscript to the end of Mary's decrypted letter before resealing it. The forged postscript asked Babington to identify the names and qualities of the 6 gentlemen assigned to carry out the assassination. Babington received the letter and attempted to reply, exposing the entire network and leading to their rapid arrest. Walsingham's cryptanalysts weaponized the enemy's own cryptographic trust, using the secure channel to extract the specific names and details required to collapse the network. By 1588, the Tudor intelligence machine turned its focus toward the foreign threat of the Spanish Armada. While the Spanish fleet was branded as invincible, Walsingham's European intelligencers had already mapped its severe logistical constraints. Informants tracked specific supply chain failures, reporting that the Armada was sailing with poorly constructed barrels and rotting food stores. English intelligence also identified that Spanish naval doctrine relied on close-quarters boarding tactics, treating their ships as platforms for infantry. Knowing this, the English adopted a contrary doctrine, utilizing line-to-line cannon fire to damage hulls from a distance while avoiding boarding actions. Walsingham also identified a flaw in the Spanish plan. The fleet had to link up with the Duke of Parma's transport barges in Flanders, which spies reported were severely delayed. This delay forced the Spanish to anchor in a tight crescent formation at Calais, where they waited helplessly for Parmesan. The English exploited this static position by launching burning fire ships directly into the anchored fleet in the middle of the night. Spanish captains, panicking at the approaching flames, cut their heavy anchor cables to shatter their formation and escape. Cutting those anchors left the fleet unable to hold position when severe storms hit the North Sea, driving the ships blindly northward. Without the ability to anchor, dozens of galleons were driven blindly into the steep rocks along the western coasts of Scotland and Ireland. English intelligence forced the Armada into a specific logistical vulnerability where any storm would prove mathematically fatal. The Babington plot concluded in September 1586 with the public executions of the conspirators. 5 months later, Mary, Queen of Scots, was beheaded at Fotheringay Castle. These deaths functioned as the scheduled culmination of a rigorous bureaucratic process. The signing of Mary's execution warrant and the mounting list of sunken Spanish ships were predictable results of Walsingham's data interventions. The state survived by stripping its enemies of their operational secrets while feeding them false confidence through compromised channels. Firmly Elizabethan stability rested on broken ciphers, intercepted letters, and the cold, mechanical application of counterintelligence.